You're listening to The Lauren Brooker Show on 800 CJBQ. The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guests and don't necessarily represent the opinions of Quinte Broadcasting.
Welcome back to the Lauren Brooker Show on 800 CJBQ. My name is Tim Durkin, in for Lauren today, who's off for a couple of weeks. Wanted to say thanks again to Ross McDougall, former mayor of Belleville, former MPP Ernie Parsons, and for Quinte West Councillor Karen Sharp joining me on the program. Quite often on Mondays here, what we do is we move into hour number 2, which is the free-for-all, and people will put in calls. But that's actually not what we're doing today. For hour number 2, we're doing a pretty darn cool interview, and it starts with a pretty darn cool background. It's time for that clippy-whippy. Fire it up.
Down the left wing to the circle, fires a shot. Grasp with a butterfly save. Hawks play with an empty net and 6 attackers. Keith on the left board. The chase beside the net. Put it in front. Bickell shoots, he scores! Bryan Bickell with a point-blank shot! Ladies and gentlemen, the Chicago Blackhawks have won the Stanley Cup! Have won the Stanley Cup!
I don't think that guy has a voice left, but damn good announcer one way or another. Bryan and Amanda Bickell are joining me in studio, along with a partner at Alair Homes, Brendan Troy. Guys, thanks for coming in and doing this. It's great to chat.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. We're excited to be on here.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Well, it's going back to a couple of weeks ago. I got a media release. We get quite a few, but because of the background of what this is, it's super neat as well. First of all, Bryan, you played a long time in the National Hockey League. My first job in broadcasting, I did the video camera for the Belleville Bulls from about 2000 to 2003. I used to lug up a big fat TV and 3 VCRs, and I would go down and either Bryan or Bert, I would hand them a tape. If the Ottawa 67s were in town, I'd give one to the Bulls. And I remember watching you play in what was a pretty damn big ice surface here in Belleville back in the day.
Yeah.
You were a former Ottawa 67. You moved through the ranks. But before we get deep into the hockey career and why you guys are in today, was it the same Canadiana story about getting involved and started in hockey?
Oh, yeah. Obviously, growing up at Orono, Ontario, it's a small little town. We that's all you thought about. I started in rec in Orono and then moved my way up. I played in Lindsay in the AAA unit. We didn't have the Clarington AAA at my time. Mm-hmm. Had to move to the city a couple of times to play on some better teams to kind of get recognized. And, and then I got drafted to Ottawa. That's where I met my lovely wife, Amanda, and we've been together for, I don't know how many years now. It's been like 27 years.
God,
I don't even know.
I lost count for a long time ago.
But, it starts in your backyard, starts in the hallways, starts, anywhere. And,
we did not start in the hallway.
Well, hockey-wise. Hockey-wise.
Okay. I just wanted to confirm
Hockey-wise. Those memories are always going to be there. But there was, you always dreamed about playing hockey. I was a big Leaf fan. Watching Dougie and Wendell Clark. Wendell Clark was one of my icons growing up. That's what you wanted to be, and you did it in the backyard or on the driveway, and I was very fortunate to have a pretty cool career.
Amanda, one of the things that when we were talking a few weeks ago in Marmora, and we'll bring that up in a moment, was how small a hockey community is. That you talk to somebody who knew this person because they were connected to here. One of our salespeople, her husband, Matt Coughlin, who's a police officer. There's another cop on that force, which is Steve Cook. His brother was a hockey player. It just seems
there's
that
a lot of cops that used to be hockey players.
And so that community, that connection, would it be fair to say you probably know a husband or a wife from pretty much every sports team in North America as far as hockey's concerned?
Yeah, it's probably a good chance, and it goes beyond hockey too. I mean, because we end up all being connected at some point, and I know some wives or athletes and stuff on the other sports teams, MLB, all of that kind of stuff.
Right.
So we definitely cross paths a time or two, and connect in different ways for sure.
Also in studio with us is Brendan Troy, who's a partner at Alair Homes and is stepping up for a really cool project we're going to be talking about further today. First of all, who's your favorite hockey team? Or is
Belleville might like us. The people in the room maybe not, but the Ottawa
Durham
Sens.
Hawks.
You gotta say go Sens go, baby.
Amanda was a Sens fan growing up.
I was
Yeah.
a Sens
See?
fan growing up. I'm from Ottawa, so Sens, I have this jersey, Wade Redden, let's go.
There you go.
worst decision the Ottawa Senators ever made, moving Chara instead of, or moving him instead of
Oh yeah, it's true.
We can agree there.
All right,
Yes.
fair enough. So we're going back 3 Stanley Cups in the career you have, and Andrew Shaw's father's name, Dougie, was talking to me one day, and one of the things we were asking about is to go through all this. He said, right place, right time, right team. Andrew had worked for it, but sometimes things kind of have to fall into place. The one cup you guys won, I think you were down like 3-1 in the series to Detroit, and there's a goalpost, and then you guys come back, win that game, win the next game, and go on to win the cup. People will break down a 7-game Stanley Cup final series. Well, this was the deciding thing, but there was 50 things in that game that could have gone the other way. Is it just human nature to dissect losses more than wins?
Well, I think experience. That was our second cup. That was in 2013. We were down 3-1 against Detroit. We were confident that it was going to take a game at a time, and we knew what was in the room, and we had the right recipe. The first 2 rounds were, not easy, but, we kind of rolled through them pretty smoothly. Obviously, we had the hiccup with Detroit, with, the Dasuk, Zetterberg, like all these elite Hall of Famers are going to be Lindstrom. We kind of, took it game by game. We got to come back 3-1 and then make it to the finals against Boston. It was a cool moment and obviously a story that we're always going to remember.
It goes through, and hockey is certainly one of those things where the camaraderie is incredible, and we were certainly just talking about it. I wanted to get to one of the reasons that you guys are here today, and that's things that are coming out of left field. We all have to experience them. But tell us about the out of left field moment for you.
Yeah, I think it started with my last year in Chicago, being in the peak of my career, around 27, 28 years old. That's usually when you're at your highest level in any sport. And then things kind of were going in a different direction. I thought it was mentally, physically, and then more symptoms showed up after I got traded to Carolina. And then I remember when I was in Jersey in a morning skate, and, I thought I got hit or my shoulder was sore. You take a leave and you ice it and you move on, and it went away. But then it went down to my right leg, and I couldn't stop on my right foot. And I'm like, I've been playing hockey my whole life. This is something unnormal. And then I had to pull myself off the ice and then get looked at. We thought it was maybe vertigo, and the local doctors are like, oh, it could be this. And then I got back, and very fortunate to be in with Carolina's program because they had a lot of good doctors with Duke and research there. So then, weeks later, we found out that had multiple sclerosis, and for us to look at each other like, what is that? We didn't really know. We don't know anybody that had it, and it was a relief that it wasn't just I wasn't a good hockey player. It was this kind of was slowing me down, but it kind of sucked because I had maybe another handful of years of good hockey left, but to take a step back and look at our family with our 2 young kids, that year was the last year, and now we're doing good things with our foundation and enjoying a lot of family time.
Well, and certainly that's going to be a big portion of what we're talking about today, which is a pretty incredible partnership, and one of the reasons that we have Alair Homes in here and Brendan as well, and to talk more about a really cool thing that's going on here in the Quinte region. Amanda, I wanted to get your perspective of that time frame, because there's so many injuries and physical ailments that go on with hockey players, with athletes. Does it make it difficult to differentiate between what could be something that was caused by a collision, a fight, just wear and tear in sports, and something was different. Did you notice anything off, or tell us your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, like Bryan had mentioned, it kind of went on for a good year or so, where we were doing a lot of different tests. And, you know, for me, from the side that I get to see him day to day and all that kind of stuff, I kept pushing for more. And I'm obviously grateful that I did, you know, because, again, it started, like he said, with vertigo. And then he was doing a ton of treatment for vertigo, and I wasn't seeing any change. And I was like, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And so it got pushed on to, you know, being concussion related, which at that point I did believe, because he had suffered a pretty good concussion in playoffs that past season. And so I said, yeah, okay, this is a good possibility. It could be something to do with that. But he did a ton of, you know, stuff to work on concussions and all that kind of stuff. He did a lot of eye training. And again, nothing was really happening. So we ended up going into mental stuff. Okay, is it because you're having these challenges and now mentally you're overthinking and struggling? So we went as far as hypnosis and stuff like that. So before games, he was listening, you know, to this whole thing that a doctor had created for him, like in his earbuds, going into game to prep him for the games and all of that kind of stuff. And there were times that were completely fine. So we're like, oh, okay, maybe this is working. But that's the thing, is that we didn't know the underlying issue was, because sometimes he was okay and that other times he wasn't, which is why we were seeing the highs and lows. But eventually I just kept saying, no, like, we need to press for more. Let's push for more. And it's hard in those circumstances because, like I said, there are a lot of head injuries. There are a lot of other type of injuries. And so you are battling, like, you know, assuming that definitely it's going to come from something like that. You're not assuming something like MS. So, like Bryan said, we're very grateful, you know, that he ended up in North Carolina and they ended up, you know, pushing through these different tests and stuff like that they hadn't done in Chicago. And again, because their main focus was obviously injury related. But like I said, I'm just grateful that they ended up figuring it out. And it was a bit of a relief, but also a scare, right? So it kind of turned to that.
How old were you guys at this point? What, were you 30?
Yeah, I guess it was 29, turning 30 during the season.
Mm-hmm.
And so was that, when you get diagnosed with this, is this something that you immediately, do you share with team doctors? Do you share with your teammates? What's the circle of trust that?
Oh God, it's like you remember it like it was yesterday, right? It was obviously a very crazy moment. And I mean, you can talk to this or I can, doesn't matter, but.
Yeah, well, we didn't know much about it going and getting the diagnosis, like, so what's next? And then, you know, for us, I had to get stable because there's times where my symptoms will kick in, then I had to grab a wall or grab a rail, or I was scared to hold my kids because they were 3 and 1 because, you know, those symptoms would kick in and I didn't know if I was going to be stable or fall over or, you know, not so much collapse. But we had to take off 6 to 7 months during a season to kind of get these symptoms neutralized. And
learn about it all, right? Like, because like he said, you know, we went in there and when he went and had the MRI and, you know, we went for the results, we didn't really think anything of it. He's had many MRIs before.
Sure.
So it was a normal day. Pretty sure we were like headed for lunch right after getting these results at the doctor's office.
Right.
And the girls had fallen asleep in the vehicle. And so I was like, go in, like, I'll wait here with the girls. And he comes out and he just like looks at me and you could tell, like, there was like this blank stare, you know, and he was just like, you need to go in and talk to the doctor. And I was like, okay. And I just like immediately got out and went in. And that was our only conversation. Like, it wasn't like, why, what happened? It was like, I just saw it in his face. I was like, okay. Yeah. And then I went in and they were like, do you want a nurse to go out? They can be with the kids while they're sleeping. He can come back in. I'm like, no, we're good. Like, let's go, you know? And so it was kind of that mentality that we went in with. And as soon as they had told me, I walked out and I just looked at him and I knew the moment that he was staring at me, that he was waiting for my reaction, and how I was going to react was how he was going to react. And so I just walked over to him and I said, we're good. You're good. It'll be fine. And
Right.
he's like, okay. And then we got in the car and took off. And from there, it was, doctor's appointments and figuring out what is MS and what does this look like for the future. And for anyone going through MS or, being diagnosed with MS, that's the biggest thing, is the fear of the unknown, because you don't necessarily know what's next.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had to learn how to deal with that fear.
When we come back, we're going to dive into a little bit more about turning a negative into a positive, and Bickell's Point in Marmora and Lake. Happy to be joined in hour number 2 here. Partner at Alair Homes, Brendan Troy, Amanda, and Bryan Bickell. The Lauren Brooker Show continues on CJBQ.
Set sail for a night of fun and fundraising. The Trenton Memorial Hospital Foundation presents the Gilligan's Island Gala. Join your fellow castaways October 18th at the Battawa Community Center and get bidding on the online auction supporting the TMH Foundation Emerge Stronger campaign. Auction opens October 9th. Don't get stranded at home. Secure your tickets for the Gilligan's Island Gala October 18th and make a lasting impact on healthcare in your community. Visit tmhfoundation.com to get involved today.
Hey, isn't it a little early for a new furnace?
Nope. Home Air Care has a sweet BOGO offer right now. When you buy a new furnace, you get an AC for free.
Free AC? That's amazing.
Right? But you've got to act fast. They've got limited stock, so when they're gone, so is the deal.
Take advantage of Home Air Care Heating and Air Conditioning's BOGO offer now and keep your family comfortable year-round.
Feel right at home with Home Air Care.
Call Home Air Care today and let the pros in the green trucks save you big bucks.
Hi, I'm Carson Arthur, host of Take It Outside on CJBQ. When you listen to Take It Outside, you'll get great garden and landscape advice just like this.
Kentucky bluegrass, which is the lawn grass that we traditionally plant, only roots 4 to 6 inches. So if you can get the water below the roots of that grass, it will survive a little longer, but more importantly, it will start feeding the other plants that root underneath the Kentucky bluegrass.
Want more? Tune in to the next edition of Take It Outside with me, Carson Arthur, Saturday mornings from 8 to 10 on 800 CJBQ.
Made possible by Sprouts Landscape Supply, Premier Equipment, Conan Nurseries, Competition Motors, Mary Lou Frost of Exit Realty, Irwin Cabinet Works, and Willow Lee Sod Farms.
Belleville's Farmers Market is open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays year-round because some things are always in season, like the flavors of fresh local foods, handmade goods crafted by your neighbors, and good conversation with your Belleville Farmers Market family.
Good morning, Susan. Looks like it's going to be a gorgeous day.
Fill up on freshness, flavor, and friends. Belleville Farmers Market. Open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays year-round in downtown Belleville. Sponsored by Farmers Market Ontario and the Ontario Federation of Agriculture.
Are dental implants the right move for you? For the right answer, turn to the experts. Contact You Make Me Smile Dental Center in Belleville or Trenton. With over 20 years experience and more than 2,000 smiling patients. If you've got missing teeth or if you're unhappy with your smile, permanent implants may be the right move for you. Book a free implant consultation with You Make Me Smile Dental Center. When you smile,
we all smile.
You Make Me Smile.ca.
Hey you, while we've got your ear, let's talk about what's catching everyone's eye. Is it the chipped paint flaking off your garage? Or that squeaky floorboard you always ignore? Don't worry, help is always within reach at Home Hardware. Turn those side eyes into second looks at the Bring Beauty Tone Home Reno sale. Save 35% on Beauty Tone Pure interior and exterior paint. And save up to 40% on in-stock vinyl and SPC flooring. Earn and redeem Scene Plus points at the Bring Beauty Tone Home Reno sale on now until October 22nd. Only at Home Hardware and Building Centers. Locally owned, genuinely Canadian.
The music you remember.
I fell into a burning ring of fire.
The news you rely on.
I'm Eleni Cameron with your CJBQ News Update.
I'm Zach Begiven with your CJBQ News Update. And the personalities that bring a smile to your face.
Rod Stewart, and forever young, CJBQ, Bryan DeCare.
Great game on your radio. I'd love to set you up with a couple of meals.
Oh boy, good eating going on at the Royal Canadian
Thank you for making us part of your day. Quinny's Hometown Radio, 800 CJBQ. I think we need to talk. The Lauren Brooker Show on 800 CJBQ.
Welcome back to the Lauren Brooker Show on 800 CJBQ. 10:25 is the time. Tomorrow on the program, talking about new life in a program that is helping people with addictions and mental health. Martin and Tina Vanderland, Breck Breathauer are going to be joining us. Hour number one. Mary Thomas, she's traveled the world, was a trailblazer as far as female journalist in the time when she came up, and she spent decades here at Quinte Broadcasting. She's going to join us as well. Wednesday's the Radiothon with the Quinte Children's Foundation will be on location raising money through the Radiothon here at 800 CJBQ. And on Thursday, Aaron Bell, longtime photographer with the Canadian Hockey League, has put a book together. We'll be having a chat with him. Quinte Wellness Hub is launching in the area, and Joe Tierney is going to be talking to us about that. And certainly as countercultural as it gets, a local sister is in New York City. She has been ordained. Her name is Sister Beata Victoria, and finding out her story and what makes her tick as well. Here in hour number two, we're happy to be joined from Alair Homes, Brendan Troy, along with Amanda and Bryan Bickell. Bryan, a three-time Stanley Cup champion. As we took a break, we were talking about how Amanda and Bryan found out the diagnosis of multiple sclerosis and what that means. Amanda, can you give us an idea of some of the symptoms that go along with this and some of the things that you saw Bryan was dealing with?
Yeah, so I mean, with multiple sclerosis, there's so many symptoms. That's the thing, right? It's not just one. It's not all the same for everybody. But for Bryan specifically, it was, he started losing kind of when he couldn't even sign. Like, he would go there and he'd have to sign his signature. Someone would come and get his autograph, and he would all of a sudden be scribbling, and he couldn't figure out why. It's like he lost the sensation in his hand, or it was really what we didn't know what was going on is the brain connectivity, right, from his brain to his hand. And so he would start to sign his name and then would just become a scribble. Right. There would be times where he'd be on the ice and he would try to make a left-hand turn? Left-hand turn. Was it going left, right? Or was it your right?
Going right, I guess, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So he'd go to make a right turn and he would end up like in the boards because his right side just wasn't, it would have been your right because you would be signing with your right. Mm-hmm. So it just wasn't really working properly, things like that. And then with the kids, like he would just become weak. And so holding the children and everything like that would be, something that he would have a hard time doing. And so we'd have to pick up there. And then it would just be, fatigue. He would be just exhausted all the time. And now I just see it in his face, like when it's starting to get time to, because he does a treatment once a month. And when you get close to that treatment, you start to see in his face and his body that he's become very flush, and you can tell that he doesn't feel that well.
What are the things that you feel? Amanda had said that there's different for different people. What are the things that you experienced, and have they been consistent since your time living with MS?
So original was my right side of my body. It was my right shoulder to my right hand to my right foot. Every person is different. Like, people lose vision. Happy I still have my vision. But for the everyday stuff with the treatment that I have once a month, I feel pretty stable. Obviously, like she said, it's like filling up your gas tank, and the end of the month is coming up. It's getting empty. You can feel it, and sometimes I look forward to that 2 hours in the chair just to kind of get me back going. But overall, it's been pretty good. We're just kind of rolling with the punches, and tomorrow's a new day.
So we're here at a point in the story where there must be a consideration for health and your family. Amanda, how did the decision come for retirement, and was it something you guys felt forced into, or was it something that was best for the family? Tell us about that decision that you guys made.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely forced into. Wasn't, and when I say forced into, I mean by the diagnosis, not by the team or anything like that.
Right.
It's definitely wouldn't have been our first choice.
Sure.
But, when he first got diagnosed, first thought was just to get him, okay and healthy and figure everything out. We didn't really even think about hockey or moving forward with hockey. It was not, our first thought.
Right.
Him and his health was our first thought. Our family was, our first thought. And hockey came second. And what we ended up doing is he ended up going to New York and meeting with an MS doctor there, And we decided as a family we were going to go with him. And the reason we did that is because this was a very scary, troubling time, in his life, in all of our lives. And we felt like we needed to turn a negative into a positive. And so by going to New York with him, we decided, let's go as a family. When do we ever get to go as a family on a family trip during the season? Even in the off season, we don't get to do that very often because he's training or he's back in Chicago or wherever, all of those kind of things. So we're like, ooh, what an awesome opportunity. So we took advantage of things that way. We went, it was around Christmas time, and we went and got to see the lights and the tree at Rockefeller Center and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And I continued to remind him, how exciting is this? Oh my God, aren't we so lucky? Like, I kept using all of that verbiage for him mentally, because mentally he was struggling and he needed to constantly be reminded of something positive. And so I saw, some good things come of that. And then I decided we need to turn a negative into a positive, and we need to go into all of this continuing that journey and continuing to do that and look at things that way.
We're being joined by Brendan Troy from Alair Homes, who I promise we're going to be talking to a little bit more as we go along this, along with Bryan and Amanda Bickell, talking about their journey through MS. A lot of guys, their first thought is, if I push this down and try and hide it, I can maybe spare the people that are around me. I can tell this is upsetting them. How is that? Is that an easy thing or a difficult thing to do with something like MS? Because, if it's a stress at work, sometimes you just try and put it in the back of your mind to not focus. But with something like this, there are things that are going to be out of your control.
Yeah, and as an athlete, as a hockey player, you don't show fear. You don't show your injuries. You don't show any of that stuff. But this was a little different. This is more of a life. This is not more of a hockey. Like she said, we try to turn this negative into a positive. It's obviously sad to say that I got diagnosed. My career ended short. But then, we can now move on and use my status and help out other people that are, truly suffering. I still feel pretty normal and pretty able to do a lot of things.
Sure.
We're still not sure if half the time his memory is due to MS or the fact that he's been hit in the head too many times.
The concussion.
Well, we make a lot of jokes about that.
Yeah, and
well, it's heavy stuff. I think you kind of have to, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what we do.
And at the time, it was, I was very fortunate to have, a good short career with the Blackhawks and with Carolina, but, winning the Cups and getting a good contract to kind of get us stable. And, we looked at each other. We had a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and it was a perfect time to hang them up. And, there could have been multiple different injuries after that, but to spend time with your family is the number one thing.
We're going to turn our attention to Bickell's Point and an incredible project. I have 2 more questions before we get to that. One, Amanda, your role in this, because I know when I was dealing with a really heavy depression, and my wife said she was trying to always be upbeat and happy around me, and that led to an exhaustion for her. And something like this comes with a lot of moving pieces. Did you always feel like you either you had to be on, and not necessarily for Bryan, but for other people, because anytime there's a big issue like this, it becomes a major focus of your life and other people asking how you are. Did you feel like you had to kind of take on an added responsibility with that?
Yeah, 100%. When he first got diagnosed, he was also went into a major depression. And it was my job to stand up and be that support system and to show him positive things that are going to be an outcome to this. And it was very draining for sure. I don't doubt that your wife went through that. There are times where I have to put on a smile and be happy when internally I also wanted to cry. Right. I also wanted to break down, right? But I could not be that person. I could not show those things to him during that time when he was going through that because I needed to be his rock. So there'd be times where if he, left to do some training or something like that, that was kind of my time where I broke down.
Right.
But I didn't show that to him. No, never.
When you guys are going through a challenge, and of course as a couple with children, you're going through something together. When did the idea of I want to take, and you had mentioned to it in our last question, take the stature of being somebody that has celebrity, that has 3 Stanley Cups, that has that notoriety, and say, I want to take that, combine it with this difficult situation, and make something bigger? Tell us about the foundation and how it came to light.
Well, it probably started in Chicago. Amanda started our Bickell Foundation in Chicago to rescue dogs. And then it kind of carried over here after we retired. And we were like, I'm living with MS. So there's the number 1 population in the world is Ontario. So we wanted to put that spotlight, and we always looked at properties. And, for us to find this property, and it's a great spot that we're going to put a lot of time and effort into to give people joy that are really suffering. I've seen normal, but there's other families that are in wheelchairs and walkers or need assistance.
And over this course of time, we've been able to meet a lot of families like that, which has brought us to where we are today. And with meeting and having a lot of conversations with everyone going through MS and finding out their struggles and seeing the similarities and the differences, we really wanted to take this opportunity and, our ability to, bring some light back into other people's lives. Because a lot of times people would ask us, why do you guys seem so positive? Where are you getting that positivity from? And we wanted to help them bring that positivity back into their lives as well. And that's kind of where we started this journey and created this MS retreat is, we want them to know that life is not over the minute that you get diagnosed. You can do some things. You can help and change your mental state. And we want to help doing that.
When we come back, we will break down Bickell's Point, building community for families impacted by MS. Brendan Troy from Alair Homes, Amanda and Bryan Bickell are our guests. 10:38 is the time. It's hour number 2 on the Lauren Brooker Show.
I'm Tim from Weaver Family Funeral Homes. Our family has been caring for families for the last 80 years, and we owe a great deal of gratitude to our forefathers for the level of commitment that they put into their communities. And the amount of changes that have happened are certainly very different over the last decades, but one thing has stayed constant, and that is our commitment and care to our families. Celebrating life your way for 80 years. Visit weaverfuneralhomes.com.
Weaver Family Funeral Homes.
There's just one place to go for new and good used appliances. Smitty's Appliances has the best price and selection. After the sale, Smitty says it's service that's important. Smitty has been servicing the Quinte area for 50 years. That speaks for itself. There's a big inventory of new and used appliances available for same-day delivery at Smitty's Appliances, River Road, Corbyville.
What's happening Quinte on CJBQ?
Support the Children's Foundation at a fundraising barbecue. There will be hot dogs and hamburgers available by donation, generously donated by McDowell's, your independent grocer. Wednesday, October 1st from 11 to 1 at the Children's Foundation, 363 Dundas Street West, Belleville.
And that's what's happening Quinte, brought to you by Crozier Heating.
Crozier Heating and Air are your local heating and cooling experts, selling, installing, and servicing high-performance products. Visit us online at CrozierHeating.com. That's CROZIER. Crozier Heating, a breath of fresh air for over 25 years.
Hi, I'm Carson Arthur, host of Take It Outside on CJBQ. When you listen to Take It Outside, you'll get great garden and landscape advice just like this.
Hummingbirds do not like processed sugar. You should never be using that for hummingbird feeders for a couple of reasons. First, it ferments in the hummingbird feeder itself. It starts to create bacteria in there. Really bad for hummingbirds. Don't use sugar water that you make at home.
Want more? Tune in to the next edition of Take It Outside with me, Carson Arthur, Saturday mornings from 8 to 10 on 800 CJBQ.
Made possible by Sprouts Landscape Supply, Premier Equipment, Conan Nurseries, Competition Motors, Mary Lou Frost of Exit Realty, Irwin Cabinet Works, and Willow Lee Sod Farms.
Welcome to the heartbeat of Quinte, where local superstars like Century 21 Lanthorn keep our region strong.
Your next move should feel exciting, not stressful. I'm Jeremy Tremblay with Century 21 Lanthorn. I'm excited to work one-on-one with you as we make your next move together. I make the process clear and manageable, so let's make it happen. Visit c21lanthorn.ca. Century 21 Lanthorn Real Estate. A new chapter awaits.
Keep it strong. Support the heartbeat of Quinte.
We would do anything for our kids. What parent wouldn't? I'm just glad they're still so young, so we can speak in code in front of them. But they must wonder why we're always camping.
Don't let homelessness assumptions get in the way of homelessness solutions. Go to CanadaCanDoIt.ca. Help the Canadian Alliance to End Homelessness.
You can help keep a child warm this winter. Hi, I'm Brittany Blake of Belleville Police Service.
And I'm Larissa Potter from the Adopt a Child, Keep Kids Warm program. It's that time of year again, and we need your support to make this program a success and help keep kids warm.
You can sponsor a local child by donating warm outdoor clothing for the winter. Radio adoptions will be accepted until October 25th.
Call CJBQ to sponsor a child in the Adopt a Child, Keep Kids Warm program. We ask that you please only include the requested items and do not wrap the articles. If you would like to make a monetary donation and receive a charitable receipt, call 613-969-5555.
The Adopt a Child, Keep Kids Warm program helps to keep all children in our community warm and safe this winter. Thank you so much for your support.
To sponsor a child or give warm winter clothing, please call CJBQ at 613-969-5555. Thank you so much for all your support.
Miss a Lauren Brooker show recently?
Missed it by that much.
No problem. Past shows for you anytime.
I'm so happy.
At CJBQ.com. You've tuned into Talk, the stories that matter to you. The Lauren Brooker Show on 800 CJBQ.
Putting the BS in the LBS show, 10:42 is the time here. My name is Tim Durkin. A few minutes left here in hour number 2. We appreciate you joining us as Lauren is off today. Bickell's Point, the Bryan and Amanda Bickell Foundation. Happy to have them both in studio today as we talk about an amazing project that is in our backyard. Marmora and Lake, a couple of weeks ago, had an opportunity to head out to see a couple of Chicago Blackhawk alumni, their family and friends working together on an incredible project that is going to be Bickell's Point. Bryan, my understanding is you like fishing. And was that how you found this place on Crow Lake?
That's how I found the place, yeah. I was fishing around the point, actually, and then I'm like, oh, there's one cottage for sale. Then that showed 3, and then I told Amanda, the wife, she's like, we need to go check this place out. This is, like, amazing. It's flat. It's within an hour and a half from our house. But then, within a week, we walked through and we had to jump on the opportunity.
So, as we had just finished up here before we took the break, we were talking about the diagnosis of multiple sclerosis that Bryan and Amanda have been living with and looking to change a negative into a positive. And so you guys have this foundation, and the one thing about a foundation is it can take on different hats as time goes. Amanda, you guys find this property. Did you know right away a full scope? Did you guys have an understanding of what you wanted to do with this property, or how it was gonna kind of go out?
Yeah, so we had originally already talked about the idea of having a MS retreat. And I had been looking into places to rent out to have retreats. So, but through all that, it was, we kept going back to, oh man, it would be so good if we had our own space, because it costs so much money just to rent out a space, let alone put the actual event on. And I really like to, any money that we bring into the foundation, I really want it to go to actually helping versus all the other nitty gritty stuff. So we kept saying, like, man, if we had our own space, it wouldn't cost so much. We can put all that money into, doing good for the people and all that kind of stuff. And so it was already on our radar. And so when he saw that, it just kind of all came together.
So the gentleman that's here with us today is somebody known in the area, Brendan Troy with Alair Homes. He's one of the partners there. Tell us about how you start getting these people and you start calling in other people you want to get involved. How did that start?
It just started. I looked up Google, and then Alair Homes popped up, and I gave Brandon a shout, and it was set from there. They were on board right away, and I told them what we wanted to do and how we wanted to do it, and it's been great working with them. We're excited to see this project evolve. I know it's going to be great. We have a good vision. We have great ideas, and they do too. And it just worked out. The first number, it was him, and it's been amazing.
Brendan, I wanted to ask you. You can probably hear people from time to time say, "I want this,
right,
and I want it to look like this," and then you see what they have to work with, and you're thinking that's not possible. You have to kind of go and get an idea of what this property is like and what's on there. Tell us about when you get to this piece of property that's on the North Shore of Crow Lake and your first look at it, what it has, what's on the property, and some of the challenges.
I mean, the neatest thing about the property, I like to call it an island. It's like you got this causeway, and then as the causeway comes down, it opens up. And so all three of these cottages almost have 270 degrees of waterfront, right? So it's really, really neat that way. There's 3 cottages that are ready, or not ready, I should say, but the one cottage was obviously in huge disrepair. So we knew that the one cottage was going to need the most work. Bryan and some friends had done some work on it, the cottage number 2. They did some great work there. Cottage 1 was their cottage. There was a lot of sentimental value behind cottage 1. That's the one that they used the most as a family. So it's how do we renovate those to get to the final vision, right? What do they want to get out of this? How can we help? But more so, what needs to get done from there? Right. But there was just the amount of possibilities with the property were unbelievable.
So there's 3 buildings on the property. Right. Amanda, what did you guys have envisioned as far as doing things for the site? Would each cottage have like an entertainment and then like a housing one, or is it 3 unique cottages so that 3 families can be there?
Yeah, so the idea is to have 3 different families there. And the reason for that is that a lot of people with MS, they have this feeling of aloneness, when they get diagnosed, and they kind of, revert back to, kind of being alone and solo, and they stop going out and stop hanging out with their friends, and that just trickles down to a lot of depression and everything.
Right.
So one of the biggest idea is to bring multiple families together where they can realize that they're not alone and there are people alike, and they can lean on each other and build connections and all of that kind of stuff. So that was very important. The vision that I have for the 3 cottages is that externally, you'll be able to see that we're one space, right? Mm-hmm. But internally, they will have a different vibe. And so I feel like that just adds like a unique coolness to it. So the first cottage will have, it's more of a modern day kind of cottage. The second one is more beachy, like beach vibe, very white out and things like that. And then the third one is more woodsy. Okay. So each one of them is going to be different inside.
One of the things, Bryan, that you and Amanda have had is a lot of travel in the games you're playing, and hockey's a worldwide game. Do you plan on people in the Quinte region? Are these American, Canadian people living with MS? What is your reach for this Bickell's Point?
Well, I hope it goes worldwide. I think it's a great project. It's a great idea that we've came up with. I know it's gonna have a lot of good feedback. Hopefully it's to anyone that's, that needs help mentally and physically, and to connect them with other people and trying to get them through, different moments, then kind of teach them things they can work on.
Mm-hmm. Build a community, right?
Yeah, it could be from anywhere. We're open for all the people.
Brandon, I wanted to ask you about a number of the pieces that if a regular person, a healthy person was going to walk to a beach, You don't have a lot of pieces to think about it. I remember there was a challenge of using a wheelchair on a sidewalk, and just where there's a curve or a ramp or trying to get into a building, you don't think about it till you have to.
Right.
When you're building a project like this where accessibility is the name of the game, what do you have to do to it to make this ready for Amanda and Bryan's vision?
It all starts with the design at the beginning, right? So we were lucky to have help from Shayla Design Company in Napanee. She's been a great project or partner on the project. Looking at those cottages, right, the first thing you have to do is look at a floor plan, to create a floor plan to say, this is what we need to get out of the space that we have available. From there, how does it actually fit the needs of what we need it to do?
Right.
So things like cottage number 2 is going to have an open, a wet room bathroom. So that means that there's no obstacles, and it means that somebody can get in there and have the space they need to turn around and get off a wheelchair or a walker or whatever they need. So to be able to do those things, outside of that, it's all the connectivity outside. So making sure that you have ramps where they need to be. There's not steps to get into spaces so that it's not going to, hinder somebody trying to get into the homes. But really just making sure that they're all spaced. You have 36-inch doors, right? So wide doors. Everything's on one level, so there's no steps, there's no bumps in the floor on the main floor, just to make sure that they're all accessible as much as they possibly can be. A lot of times in new construction, you're talking about aging in place. It's very similar to this, but we do go a little bit further in making sure that there's more space as well.
So I want to finish with the fundraiser and the large vision and the time frame. I want to ask on the nuts and bolts piece, how can the community help the foundation, Amanda, Bryan, Alair? What can they do? And is it sweat equity? Is it expertise? Is it money? Is it all three of those?
Anything and everything. So the biggest thing is that if you're in the trades, if you're connected in any way with supply, with construction, reach out to us. You can find us on any social media. I'm sure it'll all go throughout past today. But reach out to us to see what we can partner on, to see how we can help. From there, we're going to have a raffle. We had a great time, which I'm sure Bryan could speak about if he wants to, about his accuracy. But we did a little event on our demo day, and now I would never condone this on a normal demo.
Sure.
But we had a screen door that we were able to shoot some pucks through, so it was a good time. But we've used those sticks, we've signed those sticks, and we have those up for a raffle. So through BickellFoundation.org, you can go in and make a donation. If you donate anywhere $50 or more, you get put in a hat for that, so that you can win that stick. That stick is signed by Bryan and Andrew Shaw. So it's nice just to have that. That's the easiest way. If you want to just donate, you don't care about the stick, you can go to Bickell Foundation as well to do that. But honestly, if you're involved in the community in any way, reach out. Let's have a chat and see what we can do.
Amanda, one of the things that we had on the demo day, which was your family and friends showing up, is the number of people that came out that are just telling us, put us to work. When you see that it's a family trying to share a challenge, what does that mean to you? How does that make you feel? And then Bryan, the same.
Yeah, obviously it makes us feel good. It makes us feel warm inside. We do this out of the kindness of our heart and because we really want to help other people. And it's really nice to see when other people come out and support us and want to help us help others. Coming together and doing all of these kind of things is what this is all about, right? We're all here. If you have the capability, why not use it? If you can help someone else, why not do that? Mm-hmm. And when doing that, it brings joy into our hearts, right? Like doing these type of things, seeing a smile on other people's faces puts a smile on our face. And so when all of our friends or family or anyone else comes out and they help out doing these things, they leave with a smile on their face also. Yeah. It wasn't, it was hard work. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. But we had a really good time doing it. And when you walk away knowing that you're doing something that is going towards something good, it makes it so much more worth it.
Yeah.
And I love to see when everyone comes out and helps.
And Bryan, for you to see, a negative, it's a challenge, it's something you live with, but that other people want to do what they can to help share that load.
Yeah, it's like even for Andrew to come out, we've, played a lot together and we're now retired and, we have that friendship and other players and family members. Like it means a lot to us because, we've played together, worked hard together, and now obviously the family stuff, they're all supporting us in different ways. It feels good because they see what we see, the vision of this Bickell's Point and how we want to help out other people.
as we move along. I hope it's okay that we can reach back out and maybe continue to share with this journey, because it sounds like something that it's a no-brainer to be a part of. So thank you guys for coming in today.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome to have Brendan, Troy, Amanda, and Bryan Bickell in. BickellFoundation.org. We would love to have your support, and a thank you to the folks over at Hockey Stick Man on Maitland Drive in Belleville for the support and the sticks, and I know they're heading over there as well, and we're going to continue to track this amazing fundraiser. Bryan, Amanda, Bickell Foundation, thank you so much for joining us. That is it for the day. Tomorrow, we'll be back on LBS. Thanks so much to Ted Bradford for technical production. This has been the Lauren Brooker Show on 800 CJBQ.